The Galactic Survival Academy's final exam was brutal by design. Survived 72 hours in a Class 9 desert simulation. Extreme heat. No water sources. And on day 2, a sandstorm that would strip flesh from bone. 27 students entered. By hour 40, 26 had triggered their emergency beacons. The instructors found them huddled in inadequate shelters, half buried in sand, dehydrated despite their preparation. Failure was expected. The test was designed to teach humility and the importance of calling for help. But one beacon never activated. Where's the human? Instructor Velkarn demanded, scanning the desert. Cadet Marcus Webb's tracker showed him stationary, 2 kilometers into the deepest part of the simulation, right where the sandstorm had hit hardest. He's probably dead, another instructor said grimly. Humans are durable, but that storm. His vitals are stable. He's sleeping. They found him inside a massive barrel cactus. Not hiding behind it. Not sheltering near it. Inside it. Marcus had somehow hollowed out the giant succulent, creating a space just large enough for his body. The thick, water-filled flesh formed living walls around him. Spines covered the exterior like armor plating. He was curled up in the center, using his jacket as a pillow, snoring softly. Webb! Velkarn roared. Marcus jerked awake, banging his head on the cactus interior. Al, sir? Is it day 3 already? You're sleeping inside a plant. A cactus, yeah. Marcus stretched carefully, avoiding the spines. Safest place in a sandstorm. The exterior took all the abrasion. The flesh is thick enough to maintain temperature, and bonus, he squeezed the cactus wall, and water dripped out. Hydration. The instructor stared. How is this possible? Velkarn sputtered. Saguaro cacti on Earth can get 40 feet tall. This one's maybe 20. I used a rock to carve out the interior. Took about 6 hours. Left the structural ribs intact so it wouldn't collapse. Marcus crawled out, covered in cactus pulp, but otherwise fine. The spines are a pain, literally, but way better than being sandblasted. You vandalized the simulation environment. I survived using available resources, Marcus corrected. That's the test, right? A younger instructor pulled up Earth desert data. Sir, humans actually do this. There are records of Earth desert survivors hollowing out cacti for emergency shelter and water. It's a documented survival technique. Documented insanity. Velkarn looked at the mutilated cactus, then at Marcus, who was casually picking spines out of his arms. That must have been agonizing. Marcus shrugged. Spines are better than dying. Arizona taught me that. Arizona. Desert state on Earth. Spent summers with my grandmother on the Sonoran Desert. She was Tahano Oadam, native people who lived in these deserts for thousands of years. He patted the cactus affectionately. Gran used to say, the desert provides if you know how to ask politely. You call this polite? Velkarn gestured at the hollowed plant. I left it alive. See? The outer structure's intact. It'll heal. I just borrowed some interior space. Marcus grinned. Polite by human desert survival standards. Teshkor, a student who'd failed 12 hours in, approached cautiously. You slept. During a sandstorm that had us all terrified. You slept. Safe shelter, temperature controlled, water access. Marcus ticked off on fingers. Once those are handled, sleep is smart. Conserves energy and water. But the psychological stress. Of what? I was in a cactus fortress. Nothing could reach me. Marcus looked genuinely confused by their horror. This is actually pretty comfortable by Earth desert standards. Gran once sheltered through a 3-day sandstorm in a cave with a rattlesnake. Now that's stressful. Realized he'd made a critical error. He'd forgotten he had a death worlder in class. Mr. Morrison, he said slowly, how long would it take you to build a shelter rated for Class 8 hostile environment? Jake glanced around the simulation. What kind of hostile? Temperature? Predators? Weather? Toxic atmosphere? All of them. 40 minutes, maybe. Hour if I'm being fancy about it. Jake grinned. Want to show them? Krellvan canceled the rest of the exam. Class, today we're learning Death World survival techniques from someone whose species didn't have a choice about learning them. For the next 3 hours, Jake taught 22 stunned students how humans had turned Our planet is trying to murder us into here's how to build a house from dirt and spite in under an hour. The next week, enrollment in Jake's impromptu Death World Survival Workshop hit 200 students. The university had to move it to a lecture hall, because sometimes the most valuable education comes from someone who learned that 10-minute shelter isn't impressive. It's called not dying today. And on Earth, that was just called Tuesday.